Do you mind me prying into your business?
All right, come on, watch yourself now. Wait a minute.
Welcome to Mesh.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to Mesh.
Welcome to Mesh.
And welcome to Mesh, the podcast. Hey guys, welcome, literally welcome to Mesh, the podcast. This is our first episode that we're putting out. We have done some episodes before, but it was just me here as your host. And it was fun, but I think we've got an incredible host that's coming on board and that I want to introduce to you guys. This, again, is the first Mesh podcast video version because we haven't done these. And it's really our season 2, but we're considering this our season 1 just because it's a new crew and we got some exciting things to talk about that I want to tell you guys about. Make sure you go to meshthepodcast.com. That's going to be where we have all of our information that you can go and check out our host. You can even check out and keep track of our guest, of our host, there, as well as our guest. And today's host, not today's host, but Mesh's host is Miss Kianna Martinez. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And I said that wrong. It's Kianna. I'm so okay. So I'm gonna get right into this.
We're gonna go.
I've known you for 8 years now, since 2013, and I have always called you Kianna. So my bad, because I just learned it is actually Kianna. So,
yes.
Get me together, girl.
You can tell the point in my life when I stopped correcting people because those are it's around 2011 was when I was just kind of I've spent my whole life trying to correct people, and I get all kinds of stuff, and especially with singing, people announce my name differently every time, and sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't, but it became more awkward for me to correct people than it did bother me. I mean, I guess it just doesn't bother me. I feel unless people are saying it in a rude way, I don't. It is what it is. Say my name how you want to say it, right?
Yeah. No, I know. I'm glad. I think. Listen, if someone's saying your name wrong, it's probably not because they're trying to be hurtful or harmful. They just, in their mind, that's the way they pronounce it. So thank you for correcting me.
You're fine.
I like to be corrected. That's what Mesh is about. We like constructive criticism. So as long as it's going to help me make me a better person, then I'm.
Well,
I'm
it's important.
Cool
it's really on me. I should be letting people know the correct way instead of being lazy. I should just push through it like I have. But
yeah. Well, can you imagine? I mean, can you believe that it's been 8 years that we've known each other?
It's been forever. And honestly, thinking back to when I first met you and fast forwarding until now, it's I wouldn't have imagined this being where we would end up, but I also knew when I met you that you were going to be an important figure in this journey for me. Yeah. So it was something that I was I could feel this person, we connect, and he's able to teach me and coach me and show me a lot of things about the industry that I didn't know. And even honestly, about myself too. I think just how you are as a person and how you are spiritually and just how you are with other people has really taught me a lot. So it's been really cool. It's cool to see how far we've come because it doesn't feel like it's been that long.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Honestly.
It doesn't. And thank you for those words. That's very humbling to hear.
You're welcome.
I'll tell you this, when I remember meeting you and working with you then, and I said this actually, I forgot who I said it to. It was even just a day or two ago, not too long ago, how you were one of the only people that ever came into that space, and you were actually ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. I saw that in you right away. And that's what I remember about you. I was oh, she's good to go. She's got this. She's definitely good to go.
Thank you.
And I still feel that way, obviously.
Thank you. And it's so funny because back then I was oh my God, he hates me. He's never giving me any advice or pointers. I was he probably thinks I'm terrible. He never says anything about my work.
No,
everything's always good. I don't feel it's good. I think
that wasn't it. It's because you
so
were
funny.
you were fine. You were on your way. And I think there are people I get it. I'm sure, and I think I've heard other people who are in the industry. You get people coming to you how do you do this? How do you do that? But it's one thing when something's just sits right. It just sits right, and you don't really have to say anything. And sometimes the silence it's just that you're taking it in, like you're taking in the artistry of someone else, and someone who's getting into it, who's already so far advanced, that sometimes is just like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's really cool. Yeah. And that's what I felt with you. Like, I really did. I remember hearing you sing and, just do your thing, and you were on it.
Thank you.
So,
well, that was a lot of training leading up to that. And it was actually my second time going through like a program like that. For me, like, I've been super blessed to have amazing parents who have been supportive since like day one. Since I said I wanted to sing at 7, it was like, I think I may tell the story, more than once on this podcast, because it is such a like important part of when I started singing. Like, I watched the movie Selena and I was like, oh man, here's a girl who looks like me, and like she's singing and she's doing this whole thing. And I remember growing up, and my Nana was always an incredible singer and would always sing and play music for me and have me sing with her. And so after watching this movie, I was like, wow, that's like a job. And like, obviously the whole movie is just incredible, and to watch that at such a young age. I think I was like 5 or 6 when that came out. Like, the heaviness of the ending was very sad to me, but it was just the way that she lived her life and the way that she like followed her dream and had her whole family, helping along with it. It was just such a cool thing to see, and it really made me think like, this is something that I could do. So I became obsessed with the movie, and then I would like watch the end of it. They had like after the credits, they had like a whole thing where she did her live last show in Houston. And she sang I Will Survive, and it was like a medley of I Will Survive. And I watched it so many times that I memorized it. And then I was eating dinner with my family. We'd all gone out to this restaurant, and they had a live band. And I told my mom, I remember just sitting there and being like, I want to sing. Like, I want to get on that stage and sing. I asked my mom so many times, and they had never heard me like sing or say I wanted to sing before. And she's like, no, like, she kept pushing it off. And finally, like, I bugged her, and she was like, look, if I go and ask them, like, you better get up there and you better sing. Like, you are not getting scared. Like, you're gonna go do it. And I was like, well, duh. Like, that's hello. Like, I've been asking you this whole time. And I was 7 at the time, and I was like, okay. So she goes up there and she asks them, and they're like, well, we don't know anything, but she can get up and sing. We'll give her a microphone. And I remember it was like this packed restaurant, and I got on stage, and I got the microphone, and I sang a cappella, I Will Survive. And like the audience like was clapping and like the whole time. And it was just so fun that like after I got off stage, it was that moment of like, this is where I need to be, like forever. Like, this is where I want to be. And like my aunts and uncles who were there still talk about it, and how like all of them just saw something that they knew like that was something that I need to do. So it's been really cool to have all of that support from the beginning, and that investment into like becoming better. At the same time, though, I still feel like I'm just starting out. Like, it's so weird. It's such a weird thing to look back and be like, wow, I've done all of this, but I still feel like there's so much that like I want to do. Is that something that you like feel with all the stuff you do? Absolutely. I think as a creative person, like no matter where you are, in the spectrum of being successful or just getting into the industry, every day is that for us, because for us, that's the difference I think between us and people who have 9-to-5s is like, we audition, we get the gig, we get the movie, the movie role. And then when that job is over, you're back in line, you're back in line to look for something else. So absolutely. I think that's a huge part of it. I'm going to say like, watching you do what you do, and then you talk about the film, and then you talk about how that inspired you, how watching Selena really inspired you. Have you been in a position where now the tables have turned and you've seen that you've been able to inspire other young girls coming into this? Yeah, I mean, I feel like that I see a lot of that with like my niece and like my younger cousins, they like, not for that. Well, my niece actually is convinced that she's like the greatest singer and that, she doesn't need my help because she's already a good singer and she's 4. So I'm like, yes, keep that energy and we'll keep, we'll mold that. But for me, I feel like I I've seen it in when I perform and I see young girls who get excited and they come up to me and they tell me about how they want to sing and the things that they want to do. Like that's a really, really cool thing. And I also have gotten it from girls who were up and coming in Arizona too. You know, it was like a lot of them kind of followed in similar like paths that I did, or we would, you know, run into each other within like the circuit and we would just talk about different things. And it was always so cool to hear how like little things that I did inspired them or made them feel, you know, like they weren't the only ones there doing it. And I think for me, it's really cool to see that. I always feel like I don't feel like I have information to give people, but then when I like start telling them things, I'm like, oh wait, I do know certain things. Like there are things that I've been through and experienced that I can help others with. And I feel like that's a really cool thing. I feel like it can be, for me, I try not to think about it because I don't like the pressure of that. You know, I feel like everybody should be authentically who they are. And I feel like for me, that's just what I want to do. I just want to be authentically myself, and people are inspired to do that with themselves, you know?
Yeah. No, I totally agree, man. I'm going to do this really quick because I want to
know, it's so weird being like, the one that's like sitting here answering. I'm so used to asking questions now that I'm like, okay.
So I'm going to do this. This is just for fun, okay? So you had no idea I was going to do this.
Okay.
But I'm going to do this. Okay, answer these questions as fast as you can.
Oh, great.
What comes to your mind really, really quick.
Hold on.
All right?
Hold on.
Take the sip. Take the sip. All right, here we go.
Ready.
So if you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
Oh man, 3 wishes. Oh gosh, that's so hard, and I have to answer them as fast as I can.
Fast.
Oh, 3 wishes, 3 wishes. For my family to all live happy and healthy lives.
Okay.
That would be my first one. My second wish would be really for everybody in the world to be able to find something that they love and like passionately chase that. I feel like that would just like be such a cool world to live in, you know, where everyone is just able to have that gift. And then my last one, honestly, I just want dogs to talk. I really want to have a conversation with my dog. So I will use a wish on that. I want dogs to talk.
Okay, what's the most beautiful place you've ever been to?
The most beautiful place I've ever been to? Oh man. I feel like that changes, but I will say I remember the first time I went to Nashville, and I remember seeing how green it was, and also just the idea of Nashville. Like it was like the most beautiful place I'd ever been to when I first went there.
I love Nashville too. It's actually a beautiful city. What's your favorite TV show? Or movie. TV show or movie.
TV show or movie. That's hard because I like rotate and then I get like obsessed with just one and I'll only watch that. Right now I've been really into Seinfeld. They just put it on Netflix. And I've never watched like all of the episodes like in a row, so I've been doing that. That's
Since you like Seinfeld, do you like Larry David's
Curb
Your Enthusiasm.
I really liked that. I actually watched that whole thing before I even like watched a lot of Seinfeld. He just dropped a new season, just dropped on that. So I need to get into that.
On that.
See, keeping you guys informed on the important things here.
Right. Personal question: what is the strangest thing you have in your refrigerator?
Strangest thing in my refrigerator. Oh man. We still do. People keep baking soda in the fridge. We still do that. That's still like, is that
I
feel like that's weird. This is weird thing. It's something I've always been like, why do we do this? But it's just there, and I feel like it should
I think
be
you're
there.
supposed to keep the refrigerator smelling clean or something.
We don't even know what it's for.
Honest,
Exactly. Yeah. Is that a Hispanic thing?
Maybe so. Maybe it's a Latino thing. Maybe it is. I don't know. And then, what is your favorite toy growing up?
A favorite toy growing up? I had a lot of stuffed animals. I used to have nightmares. And so like my stuffed animals were like my life. They were my friends. They protected me. Like they were my friends. And I was really into Barbies for like a long time, probably longer than like most kids. I just loved dressing them up and like creating these worlds for them. I was always in other worlds. Like I still kind of am sometimes. I like to create these just like, I like creating, you know? So it's been, those things. Cool. Yeah.
I never had any of those things. I grew up on a farm, so...
That sounds fun too.
My toys were on the outside, on
dirt.
the animals.
Yeah. Yep, we had that too. My Thought had a ranch, and we used to go there on the weekends, which was a lot of fun. We'd get in trouble, but we were having fun. We'd be playing in horse trailers.
Cows, horses.
Cows,
goats,
horses,
chickens.
pigs. Yep, chicken.
I have a thing that I think every kid should like spend time on the farm at some point in their life, like a summer. They should be able to go and spend time and like be assigned an animal that you have to take care of and nurture for that summer. Yeah. And it'll change your life. If you haven't had that experience before, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you're responsible. Like I think that's a thing. Somebody needs to do that out there.
Right. Well, you're just going to start a farm camp.
Yeah. Just a farm camp.
Mesh farm camp coming up.
Right. That's
Builds
actually
character.
not a bad idea. It's actually not a bad idea.
Oh man.
But yeah. I know. Like you've done music and then you've gotten into broadcasting. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your broadcasting experience.
So for me, that was something that like kind of came in high school. So like, I think I failed photo and I went into the administration office, and I think with photo I just didn't really care. I was a good student, but I honestly did not want to be there. Like I had known since I was 7 I'm gonna be a singer. Like in 2nd grade my papers say singer, actress, model, like that's all of my stuff. Like I'm gonna be this. And so going to school was always something that I had to do, and the things that really interested me, and the things that didn't, I wanted to just get in and out. So I went to the office and they told me, hey, why don't you try this broadcasting class? It's an elective, it's a good spot, you'll learn a lot of things. And I went into that classroom and we used to do the announcements. And so they had a full production set up. It was super amazing high school that I went to. We were able to do a full production. We had a switcher board. We had a director. Every day we'd go in, we'd sign up for different roles: camera operator, anchor, weather, director. And I really loved directing. I loved being a switcher. And then I liked being on camera, but I was always shy because it was school, right? High school. We had all of our friends watching, and I wasn't the best reader of the teleprompter. So, but I did love it. And then from there, I learned that was something you could go to college for. And then after singing for so long and getting introduced to different radio stations, I started to learn that I could be on air. I could talk about music. And then there's e-news and entertainment news and all of this stuff. So, I started going to school for that. I went to college for that. And then I dropped out because the director at a radio station told me that I didn't need to finish my degree in order for him to hire me, that he they would just hire me and teach me the skills, and that it was better for me to go and sing and focus on singing. So that was my ticket. I went to my parents and I was like, well, he said, I don't need this. So I'm going to go and do what I need to do. I finished my associates, which I'm so grateful for now because I'm going back to school now. And I'm able to pick up from that point and just finish out, the last 2 years that I have. But at the time, it just wasn't a right fit for me. And I knew I could come back, and going into singing was just my passion. So radio kind of was there, but it wasn't something that was a main goal of mine yet, until I started working for a radio station as a program assistant or a program assistant. Yeah. And production assistant. Cause I started doing, same thing. They were just so cool, and they were like, hey, we'll teach you whatever you want to learn. I started learning how to DJ. I started learning how to run the boards. I was shadowing people in marketing and different positions that they had there. I just wanted to learn as much as possible. I knew that being in radio was also going to help me with my music. Eventually I wanted my music to be on the radio. That's kind of everybody's goal, and most people's goal and dream, to have their song on the radio. It's a really cool thing. And I figured if I learned as much as I could about radio, then I could understand what kind of songs they wanted and what kind of, material was going through there. And I could learn a lot from the stuff they were playing. So it was really, everything that I do is always so calculated in my head, going back to where I'm trying to get. With all that being said, when I moved to Nashville, I finally got the opportunity to have my own spot on air. And I got that job, honestly, like through a friend. It was a friend that I had worked with in Phoenix at the radio station. And her and she had just moved to Nashville, gotten this position as the midday on air DJ. And her and I had spent some time together. She had just moved to town, and we were talking, and I told her, like, hey, I kind of want to get back into radio. Like, I really miss, working in radio, and I'm thinking maybe, at some point I'd like to really work towards being on air. Yeah. It turned out that like an opportunity had shown up and they needed a weekend person, and she wrote me and was like, hey, are you still interested? Like, we're looking for people to come in. I can introduce you to my boss. Yeah. So she did that, and I went in and we ran through lines. I did an audition. I spoke with the program director, and he just basically told me like, hey, and this was the first time I'd been told this too. Before I'd been told not to be an on-air DJ and focus on singing, I couldn't do both. It just wasn't a smart move for me to do both. And there were different program directors who didn't want to hire someone who was also a singer. But this one, Joe Breezy, shout out to Joe, because he really like believed in me and what I was doing and was like, hey, look, like, I love that you sing. I love that you have all of these different elements that you can bring to the station. And when you talk about the music, like you know music, and it really adds to your show. So through that, I was able to get into radio and really learn as much as possible. And honestly, like being on the mic on air really helped me figure out more so my voice for singing. And it really like brought in this kind of being on the mic all the time. What sounds good, what doesn't sound good. And it's just been such a fun experience. I feel like anybody who wants to get into radio, like just get in however you can, honestly. Start out moving the boxes and doing all that stuff. You learn a lot, and you're more appreciative when you get to the point where you're the talent on site and you have your, program assistants coming and helping set up that for you to be the talent on that spot. It's just, it's just cool. It's cool to start from the bottom and go work your way up. Yeah.
I think that's an extremely, I think a lot of people should rethink your strategy and how you get into whatever it is that you're wanting to get into. Starting at the bottom is great because you get to learn how everything works. Yep. And that's how those people who typically will start at the bottom normally rise all the way to the top, because they keep escalating. They keep becoming experts at the next thing, at the next thing, at the next thing. And then all of a sudden they know everything. So now they can manage the whole entire ship. Yeah. And that's what it sounds like, has happened with you here. You've been able to excel. Yeah, it's been really cool. And I think for me, like my dad has always been just such an awesome motivator in all of this. He is an entrepreneur. He has his own business. My whole life he's had different businesses, and he's been very successful. And his main thing for me has always been, the more that you can do for yourself, the more successful you're going to be, because you're not going to be waiting around on, musicians, people to take pictures, people to do your recordings. Like, the more self-sufficient you can be, the easier it'll be, especially in the beginning, because you can't pay all of these people. Yeah. It's expensive when you're starting out. And it's hard to find people who are willing to just really grind with you. Which again, I don't fault anybody for that, because it's my dream, right? I can't ask people to step up for my dream if I'm not stepping up for my dream. Yeah. So that's kind of been like the route that I've taken, and I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older. I will say, when I was younger, a lot of things came super easy, and I was very blessed for that, but I took some of it for granted. Yeah. Actually, a lot of it for granted. If I'm being totally honest, I look back at opportunities and things that I kind of let slip just because I didn't realize how rare they were, and like how lucky I was to really be getting that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's weird. It's weird sitting here and talking about my past and myself as if like I'm done or I've done a lot. Like it's just weird to me, But I think it's important though. I mean, I'm glad you're saying that, because I think it's important that you do take the time to reflect, like take some time, especially if you're like a go-getter, if you're one of those people that just hustle, take some time to be still and reflect on what you've done, because that's important too. It's important to gauge your growth, to see where you started, to see where you are now. And then that helps you to see where you're going, you know, in the future, where you're going ahead. And my big thing lately is like, I want to be present. I want to be absolutely present in the moment. So I try to focus on that and not get caught up on what's happening tomorrow, what we have to do. And I know you have to plan, like people have to plan, and, you know, just running a podcast, you have to plan, and you have to be ahead of things. But there's also a thing of being balanced enough to know that when it's time, when you feel in your gut, I need to be in the moment. I need to feel what's going on. I need to feel the, feel the table and just be in this moment, smell the air, so that I can continue and moving forward from here.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just with you saying that, even I'm thinking back to like all of the times when I was not present in amazing, like incredible moments in my career, when it was, a boy or something going on with like my friends, like just something that I look back at now and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was such a waste of energy in a moment that was so incredible that I should have just fully been present for. And that's even in like, like opening up for big name people. Like there were some shows where like I just wasn't fully present because my mind was somewhere else, and I still did a good performance, but I look back and I'm just like, man, that was such a great opportunity and such a cool experience that I wish I had been more present for. And so I feel like that's something that if you guys take anything away from this and you're grinding and you're on your journey, like just always take a moment each day to think about what it is you're doing and like if that's the reason why you started it. Because if I had done that and looked and thought, like being on stage and opening up for these people and being able to play my music at such a high level, like that is why I started this, because I love doing what I do. And I'm super blessed to have that. Like, I wish I had that kind of mentality back then, to bring me back into that moment of all of it. And that being said, I had an amazing time. Like I remember all of those moments and I'm so grateful for them. But again, I like you said, like now it's just so much more important for me to just be here instead of being everywhere else. Cause it all works out in the end, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And I'm glad you said that, because that's why we have anxiety, because we're so worried about what's coming up, and at the end of the day, it is all going to work out. Like it's just going to work out. Just trust the process. Trust your journey. Trust that where you're going. You may not know where you're at. You may not know where you're going, but just trust the process and just trust where you are, and it's going to work itself out. I have one more question before we close out today. But I want to know, why Mesh? Why are you here now?
Why Mesh? For me, this is something that I feel is just so needed. It's something that I wish I had. I wish I had this when I first started out. Like, I wish that I was able to have a place where I could go and meet other people who were interested in the same things as I was. And I was able to do that like ground level and get out there and be around people. For me, a lot of the people were older, and that was amazing too, because I got to learn so much from so many different people. I do feel like I grew up a lot because of that, because I was always around adults and having adult conversations. I was performing in bars. I was just in a lot of adult situations. And for this, it's like you have all different types of people and all different types of, places and different types of, networks within the industry. That for me was also a thing that was really hard, to just be, connected with a good band, but not have the other resources that you need in order to get booked, in order to, get in front of people. A lot of that stuff is stuff I had to learn on my own. And so now, and with the help of my parents, they were a huge help with all of that. But now it's like, I want to give back to people, and I want to help people from making the same mistakes that I did. And also I feel like this is just something that, for me, I want to be able to create a safe environment for people. I feel like I've been blessed to not have seen the worst of the industry, but I've seen enough to know that it's important to have a safe place for people to go and get information that is going to benefit them, instead of information someone's giving you to benefit themselves. I think for me, it's important to kind of cultivate that type of community. Especially because people don't realize how much strain it puts on your mental health. and your also like your self-confidence. So I feel like there's a very long-winded answer, but I guess I'm just here to help make the community better and give back as much as I can, because I feel like I really have gained so much like incredible life experience. And also just, I've been so blessed with so many people who have reached out to me and helped me along the way. And if I can do that for other people, that's just where I'm at now. That's what I want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, that pretty much explains the heart of Mesh, as you know, what we're about. You know, we're a community of creatives. So that's, you know, actors, models, dancers, singers, writers, musicians, like anything in the creative field. That's who we're here for. It's not that we don't like anybody else. It's just that this is the information that we have.
This is what we know.
This is when we can. This is how what we can do.
Yeah.
We're growing. We're definitely growing, and I'm really excited. We have a really big date ahead of us. January 20th, 2022 is that date. So we'll be saying that a lot between now and then. But we're going to be launching in a few cities. We'll let you guys know exactly what cities right now. But for sure, we're going to be, you know, having some fun stuff come up. So we're going to let you know about that. We have our websites coming up that you'll be able to get some different information from us. And yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Thank you for like saying yes to this. Thank you for wanting to be a part of this. You know, I'm grateful that you're here doing this. And I think, you know, our entire team, we've got a whole team here, our producers, our sound people. We've got guests that are coming up that we're going to get to interview.
I'm so
that
excited.
I'm so excited
for those. Yeah.
So yeah, that's our show today. I just wanted to introduce to you guys Kianna Martinez on Mesh, the podcast, and I'm the co-host as well, John Montez.
And very important part of the Mesh family. Thank you so much for having me here, and I'm so excited to continue talking with you guys, talking with John, and talking with all of our guests. And yeah, I'm excited. Can't wait.
Good stuff. All right, you guys, peace out.